Today I've got a knife that I've been waiting for since, well geez, since forever. You know, one of the annoying things about going to SHOT Show, okay, well I haven't been, but I am going in January, can't wait. But one of the annoying things about SHOT Show is that you see all these cool products that get announced, and then someday in the future, they're available for purchase. In the case of this, the Zero Tolerance 566 announced at SHOT Show in January 2012, and then finally, 11 months later, late November, I was able to pick one up, and I'm thrilled, and thought I'd finally throw up a little video on it for you here. I've been carrying it for a couple weeks. The 566 is a Rick Hinder design collaboration with Kershaw. Zero Tolerance, Rick Hinder, for those of you that don't know, is a high-end custom knife manufacturer out of Northeast Ohio. I've had the pleasure of meeting him, being with a couple classes with him, and I've gotten a chance to talk to him about some of his knives. Showed him my 566 a couple weeks ago and got a chance to talk to him a little bit about it, go over some of the features with him. The price on this, $144, $140, $150, depending on where you find it. The ZT, the 566 here, is similar in design to Rick Hinder's XM18, similar to the size of the ZT 560. However, this one has the flipper design, which is one of the big reasons that I got it. Also, the smaller version of the 560, 561. I love the design of those. I wanted to get one, but they're huge, especially as an everyday carry knife. They're just really big. Those are similar to Rick's XM24s. So this knife, I haven't been carrying it, or I've been carrying it for several weeks, and maybe I'm still in the honeymoon phase with it, but I absolutely love this as an everyday carry knife for several reasons that I'll get into here. Just to get the big stuff out of the way, like I said, I got the price already. Has a 3.25 inch blade, weighs in at a not super light 5.3 ounces. You know, when you pick this knife up, it has definitely a bit of a heft to it in your hand, but part of that heft gives you this sort of sense of quality to it. And you open it, and the thing is just rock solid. And I've let some people play with this, and they were immediately impressed by the quality. This is my first Zero Tolerance knife, and again, I just thought this thing is rock solid. It's very stout. Absolutely love it. One of the reasons I had been wanting one of these was the flipper. You know, it's very easy to open either right-handed or left-handed. It doesn't require using the thumb studs with your non-dominant hand, so that makes it very easy. So let's get into the construction of it and some of the things that I love about it. On this side, it has G10. Now, the G10 on this, I would say it's kind of a medium grippy G10. Just to compare it to some other G10s, for instance, like the Emerson G10s. Emerson G10 is very grippy G10. It will tear up your pocket. It does smooth out with time, but you can see that the G10 on this is a little bit finer. And one of the problems with the Emerson G10 is that on the other side, you can have some underclip issues putting that in and out of your pocket. Probably a closer comparison is a Paramilitary 2, or I would say the G10s on these, if you've got a Paramilitary 2, are almost identical in feel. I think my Emerson, I even took a little bit of fine grit sandpaper to smooth it out, but otherwise these two are both fairly similar, and you can see the size of the G10 on them, pretty similar. On the other side, you know, I never in the past had liked the look of these knives that had the scales on the one side and what I thought just looked kind of unfinished on the other side. I thought, you know, it's going to be smooth on this side, you're not going to be able to hold on to it. Looks kind of unfinished with just that steel there. But one of the really nice features about this is that you will have no underclip issues. Again, with something like the Emerson or really any other, you know, scale on both side knives, especially with the grippier G10, you're going to tear up your pocket after a while. With this, it's so nice and smooth there, you will have no underclip issues with that clip. It still holds it in your pocket perfectly fine. It's not going anywhere, but it's very smooth getting in and out of your pocket, and I really like that. And really now, I like the look of this knife with the steel on this side. Some people complain because this could be titanium. I agree, would be nice if it was titanium on this side instead of the steel, but you know, I'm not offended by it, it's okay. The steel does add a little bit of weight to it, but again, you know, that's all right, I'll take it. On this side, just to finish this off real quick, there's the lanyard hole there, decent sized lanyard hole, pivot screw, Torx bit. Back to this side, it has the frame lock here, and underneath the clip there, it has the lock bar stabilizer, such that when you're closing it and you're going to push that lock bar out, the frame lock out, it won't extend past where that is. And Rick puts that on a lot of his knives. The clip on this is a 4-way carry clip. Tip up, tip down, right hand, left hand. I typically carry most of my knives tip up, but this one, to carry it in true hinder flipper fashion, I am carrying it tip down. Pull it out of your pocket and then just grab the flipper and flip it on open. One of the other nice things, because this has scales only on one side and then it has the frame lock, is that it's actually quite thin compared to some other knives, and I'll show you those in a little bit. But it carries very thin in your pocket. It's a kind of a heavy knife, 5.3 ounces, but it carries very thin and goes in and out of your pocket very easily. The flipper here, it does have an assist to it. I talked to Rick about that. Some people don't like the assist. He said that on the knives that have a little bit less mass to the blade, you know, the blades on the XM18, and those, they have a little bit more heft to them, and so people can flip them out a little bit easier. The knives that have a little bit less mass, and especially if someone that's not as experienced with flippers, to have to do a little wrist flip, he put in the assist there, but did make it so that you could go ahead and take it out if you want. And from what I've seen, it's actually pretty simple. You just take the scales off on this side, you pull the little assist spring bar out, and you put the scales back on, and it looks like it works very smoothly without the assist. I am thinking about doing that. I don't mind the assist on the opening, but one of the places where I don't like it as much is that when you're closing it, you get it to there, and then you get to the detent and you gotta push it the rest of the way closed. So I wouldn't mind getting rid of that. Can you do it one-handed? You can, but requires a little bit of effort. So I may try getting rid of the assist. Actually, I probably will, but at least want to show you the video. The video here with the assist still in place works pretty well. The lock bar here, getting that out of the way. It is easy to get out of the way on his the XM18s. It's fairly stiff here. It hasn't. I won't say it's really loosened up at all since I've been carrying it. Still stayed fairly similar from when I got it, but it's not offensive otherwise. The handle here, I have medium-sized hands, and carrying this in your hand, it's a nice size. There's a little bit sticking out of the bottom here. Nice medium-sized grip to it. Again, it's thinner, but it feels just fine in the hand. The jimping here on the back, you can see here, lines up there. It's got a little bit, in a good way, sharpness here, and continues down to the blade. The only place where the jimping annoys me, this is not a bad part of the knife, but when I occasionally just want to play with this forever, and I keep slamming my finger down into it with the flipper, it'll tear your finger up, but that's just a matter of fact of wanting to play with the knife too much. Anyway, moving down to the blade itself. The blade has this stone-washed finish to it, similar to Rick's the XM1824. Zero tolerance logo on this side. This side you can see it's got the number, the 566 hinder design. It is made of Elmax steel, which I've not had any problems with. Some people like it, some people don't love it that much. It's been perfectly fine for me. 3.5 inch blade, or sorry, 3.25 inch blade, and it's done pretty well for me. The lockup on this is rock solid, no play in any direction. Let's have a look at this knife compared to a couple other ones for size. So for starters, Benchmade Griptilian, Spyderco Paramilitary 2, Emerson Mini CQC 15, and an Emerson Mini Commander. Now you get a bit of a parallax view with the way the camera's set up here. If I line up the butts of all the knives, it's pretty close. You can see it's the Paramilitary 2 is certainly the longest of the bunch. If I line up just the blades, best I can, it's about in the middle. Blade length-wise, Paramilitary 2 still wins out, at least as far as the longest blade, but also has a lot bigger handle, as you can see. The places where, another place where this wins out, like I said before, I'll get some of these out of the way, is in the thickness of the knife. This knife carries a lot thinner than a lot of these other knives do. So just to show you here, let's zoom in. So first let's compare it to the Griptilian. Griptilian has sort of this bulbous design to the way the scales are, but if we try and line it up pretty even, you can see there's a decent savings there in the thickness compared to the Benchmade. Compared to one of the Emersons, which are all pretty much the same thickness, it is a huge win, relatively. So the Emersons have scales on both sides, they have the liners on both sides, and this knife definitely carries a lot thinner. The Emersons do carry sort of a bit chunky in size. You're saving pretty much the width of scales there. As for the Paramilitary 2, I will say that they are just about the same size. Negligible. Difference is negligible. The Paramilitary 2 is about an ounce smaller, but I would say they actually carry fairly similar. You know, the Paramilitary 2 is longer by a semi-decent amount, but in your pocket, I don't think you really notice it that much. They're both the same thickness. The weight is not that noticeable, so I'd say they carry fairly similar. How about this compared to an XM18? You know, I had a chance to compare this to one, and I'll throw up some pictures here. I would absolutely love to have an XM18, but for the price difference, about half of Rick's retail price and a quarter of the secondary market price, $395 and $800 or $900 depending on where you can find it, I'm not sure I could justify the expense of that. Maybe if I could find one for retail, maybe I'd go for that. But for, I'd say 90% of people, what they're going to put these knives through, the ZT here is way more robust than anything you're going to put it through. It's going to handle everything, no problem. The XM18 does carry a little bit bigger. It's a little bit thicker. The weight I can't really remember. But you can see from the two where Rick really takes his design cues from the XM18 and has put them into this knife. And they're so similar that carrying this, I just can't see a reason to get the XM18, much as I would absolutely love to. So there you have it, the ZT 566. I absolutely love this knife. I think this is going to be my everyday carry knife for the foreseeable future until something else maybe better comes along, if so. But I absolutely love this. If you can find one, check one out, pick one up. It is a wonderful knife.